Johann Peries here with us on the show today. People might wonder, I guess people all know about your exploits, Johann, but I guess you're daredevil in many ways. You're a thrill seeker as well, an adventurer. Then you branched out as an entrepreneur as well. And, you're one of the most sought after hairstylists in the country. But I guess to do all this, forget the adventure and thrill seeking aside, even to be a bit of an entrepreneur and to start off your own business, also you need to be a bit of a daredevil these days, right? Because it's nothing is certain. So Johan, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. I think we met up quite a bit, and I've interviewed you once before, just before you set off to Everest.
Everest, yes.
I think we interviewed you on EFM, and we've always been big admirers just of your tenacity and the fact that you always push the envelope and try to find some new, something new to excel in, and that's amazing. So, Johan, like I said, lots of people know you in different fields. But I just want to start off by touching on how this all started for you, because for everyone, there's this one little seed that is planted in your head. What did you want to do when you were starting out or when you were in your teen years? What did you want to be a hairstylist, or what planted this seed in you, and what was that defining moment in your life when you thought, okay, this is the path I want to follow?
So hairdressing itself came to me by kind of an accident, not really an accident, but it wasn't my dream. I was always artistic from my small days, but I wanted to be an architect. Yeah, and everybody when they're little, they all want to be pilots, of course. And then guys want to be pilots.
Sure.
And then, of course, I wanted to be an architect because I was artistic.
Right.
And I even did follow the course when I was in school. I followed a course in design and design and interiors.
What's your alma mater? Which school is this?
St. Joseph's College.
Okay, right. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Actually, a lot of architects do come out. My brother-in-law is from St. Joseph. He's an architect as well.
All right.
And I think there are quite a few architects on St. Joseph's.
Okay.
Something in the water at St. Joseph's. Okay, sir.
Could be.
Or maybe there's just very creative people at St. Joseph's as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then?
So then after that, I did my levels, and then while I was waiting for my results, in that interim period while you're waiting, the 3 months, there was this opening that came up. I was very keen. I was very interested. I used to follow all these programs. I used to go for some of the demonstrations. Then Ramani and Ramsey was the big names there, and Herod and those people. So I used to go to watch them at some of these things, and I was fascinated with the things that Ramsey used to do, the things that Ramani used to do, and how creative they were. And I think it's all a form of art.
Right.
And then in that 3 months, I got an opportunity to work, for a short time.
Right.
At
Can I just ask you, what made you go for these shows to see Ramani and Ramsey? What kind of ignited that passion or the curiosity for you to take that first step to go for the shows? So you were into architecture?
Correct, yeah. But I think this was always in me, and I remember my mom and dad used to go out a lot.
Right.
They used to go out dancing. They were members of the CAD, and they used to go out dancing and all that. I used to be like her fashion consultant. Right? And I used to tell her, you have to wear this today.
How old were you then?
I must have been 13.
Wow. Okay.
13, 14, yeah.
So you had the itch pretty young, okay.
Yes.
So that's the best time. I mean, if you people who have had the passion so young in your life, they're going to be something because you learned at such a young age.
So that's the thing. So that's why I know even now today, I know that this is my real passion.
Right.
That's what it was. That was instilled in me at a very small age.
Right.
And I started then, I was showing her these things, and then that's how it all built up. But eventually, I got this opportunity to work with Ramani.
Right.
And I remember my mom wasn't very keen on the whole thing because...
Why? Was it frowned upon or?
It was, because at that time, I don't think there were very many male hairdressers.
Right.
It was just a handful, right? I'm talking of 35, 36 years ago.
Right. But it must have been huge for you to join Ramani because she was
exactly
the name at the time.
Yes.
And it still is. Yeah.
Correct, yeah. And there was only Naresh at that time.
Right.
So she was also reluctant in taking another male.
Right.
And but there was a friend of mine who was related to her, and through that, I managed to get in there. And my mom didn't like it very much, but my dad said no. If this is what he wants, so he was very open that way. My parents actually were very nice, and they were very understanding, very open-minded, so that they gave us the room to venture out, to fly, and to do what we wanted to do. And then, of course, he said no. He said, let him go and do this. If he doesn't, if he fails in it, then he can go into something else. And I went in there for that 3 months. I loved it so much. Never want to return back. No regrets today.
Excellent. Wow, that's brilliant. So when you joined Ramani's and when you started out, what were the how challenging was it for you as a new person to come into this field with just like a bright-eyed person who just wanted to learn? Were you welcomed, or was there a little bit of, I mean, sometimes when you join the new field, there's a little bit of, no, don't want to say hazing,
No, no.
but there is a little bit of competitiveness and no one wants to give the new kid a chance. So how was it for you?
So there were those challenges as well.
Right.
And
Can you tell us one experience if you remember?
no, I remember there was one particular girl there, one of the assistants.
Right.
I don't think she liked me very much, and she liked me being there. And then she used to get me to
This is a woman's world.
yeah, and then she used to get me to sweep all the time and really give me the little jobs to do all the time.
Right,
I had
right.
to sweep, I had to wash clients. I was fine with all that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, and I didn't mind doing all that, but I saw that it was completely targeted towards me. Yeah, in a way that, and there were little complaints that used to go to Ramani saying that, I'm this and I'm that. But then I think Ramani also was understanding enough
Right, right.
to sort of, see.
I knew what was really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think she had the experience even at that time.
Right.
She had handled this for a while. She was one of our leading hairdressers.
And also, she came up the same way because I spoke to Ramani once, and she was telling me she picked up hairdressing when she was in the UK. She had gone with Ranjit
Correct, yeah.
on one of his tours.
Yes.
And she saw a sign in the window saying hairdressers wanted. She had joined, and she did the exact thing for like months. She was just sweeping the floors and
Correct. No, that's the thing. So even today, I'm able to tell my staff,
Right.
I've done all this.
Right.
Yeah, and I always have come up like you guys, and I'm glad, that we got that kind of grounding, and she gave us that training, and I think everything that she gave us at that point is what has brought us to where we are today.
Of course.
And I always give that to her. Yeah, and I say that I won't be here today if not for her.
Right. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Because I also think when you come up the hard way like that, no one can BS you. Like when you have your own place, because you know all the tricks of the trade.
You've been through it.
Yeah, you've been through it, so no one can try to pull one over because when someone is, playing around and not being genuine. Okay, so then you started the cutting station a couple of years ago. How old is the cutting station now?
Cutting station now is 25 years old. Gosh.
I
Been a long time.
I don't think that because you moved to this venue
About 6 years ago.
6 years ago, right? Before that, you were in what place or where?
I was on Java Road.
Davasta Road. That's right. That's
20
right.
years, and then I moved here.
25 years. That's crazy because you look like you're like 25 years. No, that's serious. I mean, like, it's like you started when you were like a kid, like a baby.
I always keep telling people I started when I was 10.
No, but like, I'm just telling everyone who's watching. So just now I came to interview Johann, and we were upstairs, and his girl Tracy, one of the girls who works for him, and was doing my makeup, and then Johann was going to get it done as well. And then some ladies came to the salon, and they were just raving about Johann, about his complexion, about his outfit, about his hair. Do you get a lot of attention like that? Because I'm not going to ask your age, but you obviously, you keep fit and you take good care of yourself, it seems.
I think it's that. It's a lifestyle itself. We
Right.
thought about our lifestyle, and I think it's a lifestyle itself. So I make an effort. And I have a routine that I follow.
Right.
It's not just about doing beauty treatments or whatever, I don't do any of that.
Right.
And I'm the last person who does it.
I would tell you, Johann, I find it very hard to believe, but I guess this is what he says. Okay.
But it's just, I think the lifestyle, the food that I eat, I'm very careful about my food. I exercise every single day.
Right.
Yeah, I do something. Also, that's because of what I do. But I make it a point to do that. And I make it a point to make that a part of my lifestyle as well. And I think that really helps. Yeah, because I think mentally also, it does a lot to you. There's
Of course. Obviously what you eat is what you are, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. And also what you believe in.
Of course.
I believe that
100%.
to a great extent,
Nice.
And that helps. That keeps me going.
Nice. Excellent. So, Johann, tell us now, you, from being an assistant to Ramani or working with her, when did you transition to wanting to have your own salon? Like, how did you, because it's a big step, isn't it? Did you do other small salons before that, or did you all of a sudden say, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start the cutting station? How did that kind of, how, what was the genesis of the cutting station?
So it goes a bit deeper than that.
Okay.
I never wanted to. I was very close to Ramani, and I was one of her main hairdressers and main stylists.
Right.
And also, I used to manage some of her salons. I used to be a part of the planning process.
Right.
I was very involved in the whole process there.
Right.
And I remember I decided for myself that I was never going to leave. Yeah, at one point I told her, I said I was never going to leave. But I said, me as a guy, I'm very ambitious as well. I needed to do something. And she even gave me a partnership.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was the first one she ever did a partnership with. And we created our own company. It was called the RF Johann Franchise Private Limited.
Right.
And we created our own company.
And what was this company consist? Was it another salon, or was it like a
No, it's not a
fashion
salon.
school, or
No,
okay,
it's
so
a salon. And of course, the school also was started at that point by four of us and Ramani.
right.
And, and she gave me the opportunity. Yeah, and that's why I always respect her, because it was great of her. But there were different circumstances that came my way, nothing to do with her. It was just my thing. I met with a terrible accident during that
Oh, what
time.
was that?
A car accident.
Wow.
I went off the road and I had a really bad, they gave me 24 hours, first of all. And my face was completely disfigured. I broke my face into 8 pieces.
So this must have been a very harsh. Were you after a bit of a big?
Thing. I don't drink,
I mean, I know you don't drink now. I thought maybe back in the day,
no,
you know, a little bit. Huh?
nothing, absolutely nothing. I was dancing at that time. I was in the peak of my dance.
You were a professional dancer.
Yes, I was. So I never used to drink. I never smoked, and just fell asleep. I was tired. I had been working right through the Christmas season.
And this is while you were at the salon as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Gosh.
Yes, I had
But-
done about 3 or 4 brides those few days, and I had been driving. I drove to Goa, came back, went out to dinner.
Takes a toll, right?
Yeah, I just fell asleep at the wheel.
And but did you hit another vehicle, or you went and?
No, I hit the first and then a high tension lamp post.
Oh my God.
And the car was totally condemned. So that was one of the turning points.
How long did it take for you to kind of rehabilitate yourself and just be recovered from that?
So it's crazy, but I was back to work in 3 months. In 4 months, actually, I was back to work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was determined to come back fast, and they started doing surgeries and all that, and I was able to come back in 4 months. But that was one. Then just before that, 6 weeks prior to that, yes, I think it was 6 weeks prior to that, the new salon that Ramani and I opened together as a partnership, there was at the World Trade Center. And the bomb just went off.
You know, I was at the World Trade Center when that happened.
All right.
I was,
You know what?
oh my gosh, it's crazy. So anyway, go on.
And the bomb went off right under the salon. So everything got destroyed.
There was a Ramani friend in the salon.
Yeah, that was mine.
I said, okay, right.
That was my salon, and with Ramani, of course.
Yes. I remember.
Everything got destroyed in that. So
Yeah, the ground floor really got it bad. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. And one after the other, when these things came up, it got me thinking, and it was something that was very personal to me. And
Life is short.
Yeah, I told Ramani, I need to just venture out and do things on my own. And
Right.
it was very hard. It was a very, very tough decision for me and for her.
And the fact that she was also very supportive of you. And,
Exactly.
But also you were probably very good at what you did. And that's why she kind of did that thing and started this company.
Yes, sir, we had this amazing relationship. Chemistry on the chemistry together was really good.
Yeah.
So it was hard. It was hard for me as well, but it's something that I want to do for my future.
I totally understand where you're coming from. I had a similar decision to make a few years ago where I was very comfortable in, and my immediate boss was a very nice gentleman, but I had to make a decision, and it was a bit controversial to say the least.
Right.
But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. But that doesn't mean you're any less grateful for the platform that you got. And he's a very nice man.
Yeah.
One of the best people I ever worked for. So, do you know something? Just to go out of that, the World Trade Center bombing, because we were on the 9th floor or the 6th floor, so we saw everything. Like I saw the RPG going and hitting Selinko. Like we were the alarm, because we had been given training sessions before that. They had done training sessions.
Right.
So when the alarm went, we knew this wasn't the drill because we could see what was happening. So as I was leaving, it's all glass, right? So as I was getting out of my office, something told me to look back. And as I looked back, I saw the entire Sri Lanka go up in flames that flow, right? And in movies we watch these explosions and it's all fun and games, but in real life
Not
it's
in
so
real,
freaking loud, right?
yeah.
And the story is that RPG was meant for the World Trade Center, right? And the guy missed it and hit. Wow. So we are all here today because some
Yeah.
strange. It could be an act of God, twist of fate, whatever you want to call it. But a lot of people sacrifice their lives for us to be here today.
Correct, yeah.
So it's crazy that something like that. Obviously, it's understandable that something like that would kind of hit you hard and think, okay, no, listen, this is it.
Change your direction and your future. It would, yeah.
So how did Ramani take it at the start?
I think it was hard. It was hard for both of us. It was really hard for both. It was hard for me as well.
Right.
Leaving and taking this risk and starting off on my own.
Right.
But it's something that I wanted to do for myself, and I wanted to have the freedom and to move on.
Okay, so when you left Ramani's, now you're looking to start your own thing. How does that happen? What is that process like? How does that hit you the next day? Because when you leave, it's a big adrenaline rush, right?
Yes.
You think, okay, the entire world is out there, but then it hits you after a couple of days. Okay, now I have to actually work on this. So how did you progress
But
there?
it was hard because I didn't plan anything beforehand. And, lots of people have a plan. But for me, till the last day I was there, I wanted to give in my 100%.
Right.
I wanted to not take my focus off that. That is the kind of commitment that I had. Everyone is not the same. They work differently.
Okay.
Until I left that, I didn't even know where I was going. I didn't know what to do with the next step, with the next day. And I didn't know what I was going to do. And then there were clients who were calling me and saying, how can you abandon us? You've got to cut my hair tomorrow. And I didn't know what to do.
And they would have been they must have been loyal to you when they were.
Yes, yes.
And they're usually
we have
who they.
built up this relationship with the clients.
Of course.
Yeah, and you have that kind of trust, and hair is something very personal to somebody. So it was hard for me, for them, for everybody, and I didn't know what to do. But then there was one of my colleagues who had started a salon somewhere else, and she said, "Why don't you just come and use the salon?" It was a school that she had. She said, I do my sessions only in the morning. If you like, you can take it in the afternoon and do your act. And there it is. There I really was. I had got a few towels, packed my bag, and I'd take this and run in the afternoons.
Wow. And just you, no help, nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Just me till I actually found a place.
Crazy, okay. And that's also a blessing, isn't it? That you had that and someone gave a place like that.
It is, and I'm very, very grateful, that I had the support. And
So did your old clients come back to you? They must have.
lots of them. Lots of them. I still have some of my very old clients from that time to now who are still with me. And that's the amazing thing. That's the beauty of this industry.
Yeah. No, but I can see, like, when I see the way people are around you, like your clients and people who come to your salon, they obviously have, having your hair done or styled or cut, it's a lot of trust, isn't it? You put a lot of trust in the person who's doing it. So if you do a good job, obviously people are going to kind of gravitate towards you, isn't it? Because like it's such an important thing sometimes.
And I think hairdressing is when you look at it scientifically also, right? It has proven that whenever anybody touches your head or does something with your hair, there's a certain form of relaxation that comes.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Hormones that are released from your body, and you tend to build up this relationship, this rapport with your client. And that's why there's this famous saying, if you want to know about something, about the latest gossip, talk to the hairdresser. So people talk to you, of course, and they build up this very personal relationship with you, right? So it is also up to us. We need to be trained also, and we need to know how to keep the client's integrity and
also you offer. I've come to Johann a few times to have my hair done in the cut, and it's always great. It's a great service. You have your whole. Your hospitality is very good. You have your tea, coffee going on, and also I have to say, I think I told you once when I came, your music is exceptional. Johann always has these nice jazzy versions of like really popular songs. So every time I come, I'm like really happy with that. Okay, so Johann, getting back to the cutting station, so after you had that little place that you were working on your own, how long was it before you started in Jawataran?
Not too long. I actually was very, very lucky, and I think I was blessed that I really found this beautiful place. It was way beyond what I was looking for. I was looking for a small little place, but then I got this beautiful, like a mansion.
Right.
And,
Wow.
I was wondering whether was possible to even take it on and do it.
Right.
And I did take it on and I built it up, and it became a thriving sort of a business, and it became a name
Right.
after that.
Right. Were there, I mean, there must have been hardships as well. You must have had to work at it a little bit, or was it at the start everything just went smoothly because you had an established clientele, or?
I think I had the clientele and I had the following at that time.
Right.
Even the hairdressing community was much smaller.
Right.
It wasn't what has happened now.
Okay.
It's completely different. But at that time I had my clientele, and I think word of mouth also goes around.
Right.
And that's the best form of
Of
advertising,
course,
as
of
they
course,
say.
100%, yeah.
But there were the hardships.
Yeah.
I had to.
There remember one of those times where if were there those times where you thought, oh gosh, did I do the right thing? Should I just stayed at Ramali's? Were there times? So do you remember one occasion where something like that happened where we made you think like that?
Well, I think it was also the work pressure itself,
Right.
building up the staff, training staff, taking new staff, building up the confidence with them. All that took time. So with that, sometimes the pressure builds up. Then you
Right.
think, can I handle this? How does my predecessor, how does she do it?
Yeah. I guess it makes you have a certain amount of appreciation for what she did.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
and she has such a huge amount of staff, isn't it?
Absolutely, she's got a real empire, yeah, even today. And so all those challenges were there.
But obviously you overcame them, and look at you today, right? You have, I mean, you have one of the, and also like I remember during COVID, I came and I filmed you with all the top hairdressers in town, and we did a small campaign, and it must be great for you. I mean, obviously now you probably feel like you're one of the top. But sometimes when you see yourself seated at the same table as Ramzi and Ramani and Naila and all these people, sometimes you think, wow, how did I get here? Or, you pay like
You do. I still respect them for who they are, because if they hadn't set the foundation for us,
Right.
we wouldn't have been here today, and the industry wouldn't have been what it was. So each of them put in a lot of their work and a lot of the hard work at the beginning to bring the industry to this, and we are very grateful for that.
Right.
Yes, I'm very grateful for that.
Of course.
So it's lovely when you're able to be there and be there, look up to them, and be there on the same platform with them.
When the cutting station became a force to be reckoned with in this field, you must have met Ramani after a while, and
Yes.
I don't know if you were on talking terms before, but you must have met her. So how was it then when you all were on the same level playing field? How was Ramani towards you?
She was always great, but I think it was hard for her
Right.
and for me as well. But for me, I always respected her, and I still do.
Of course.
As
She's very nice
my
lady,
mentor.
very talented,
Exactly.
exemplary, really.
And I always tell, even when I have a meeting with my staff, I still bring it up and I say, I am here today because of her. So I said, I hope you all can take something back from me as well, the way I did from her.
Right. Yeah.
And everything that I am today is because of her. So, but society has changed, the generation has changed, and everything has changed, the word has changed. The way we worked, the way we looked up to people was completely different.
Different. Oh, but
He's
sure.
now. Our values
You
have
don't get
changed.
that same kind of, no, 100%. Like, I mean, I like, it's crazy, like what you said just now about when you worked with them is exactly what I went through and this and that. But at some point you look back on your life and you think, I'm so glad I made that decision. Otherwise, I'd still be in the same place. And now I mean, you have to try to take that leap and try something that scares you, right?
Correct.
What's the point?
Yes, and also because I have ventured out into different
Areas,
Now,
yes, which we will get to.
where I would have not, if I was with her. I would have been
course.
concentrating more.
On one thing, yeah. Johan, your story is very inspiring. You know why? I know so many girls. I'm sure there are guys as well. I know my friends who have worked like you for other salons, and now they have ventured out on their own. And I know this one girl in particular. Her name is Danica. She's a very, very talented girl. I met her when I went to do an interview or a shoot at some salon, and I think we were doing the shoot with Johanni at the time, and I watched her doing the hair, and she was really good. But then she told me, I'm leaving in a couple of months. Don't tell. So I said, yeah, well, great, because you should give it a shot, right? And now she was just doing like weddings and going on location.
Yeah.
But now she's got like a small place, and she's doing what you were doing when you left Ramani and you said someone gave you a place. So she's doing exactly the same thing. Everything on her own. She's got the little, all the equipment. So I think, yeah, like for people like her and everyone else who's watching this who aspires to be like you, it'll be quite inspiring. So I think in that respect, it's great. But sometimes what you've been through, you don't realize, but it can teach a lot of things to a lot of people and help them with what they are going through as well, and give them hope.
Well, good. I mean, I hope so.
Okay, Johan. So now let's get to. There's a lot to talk about, but let's get into your daredevil adrenaline junkie ways. Okay, and talk about this new thing that you just kind of bought on yourself, which is a great thing, I think, where you are. Well, it was mountain climbing, but I think you're a bit of a thrill seeker. Now, you were just telling me earlier that you're doing different kinds of sports, and you can touch on it a little bit. But when it comes to now, you climbed Everest. You made your first attempt with Jayanti, and that's when I first got to know you and interviewed you before you all left. Can you tell me how did this part of what you're doing, how did that affect you, and when did you decide you wanted to? Because it's not something everyone wants to do.
Yeah.
It's quite a daunting task, and it's scary. It's very expensive. How did that itch? When did that itch kind of happen?
So it's funny you said the new adventure that I'm in, but it's not new.
Okay.
It was there from my school days, from my young days.
Right.
It was again my dad, who instilled this in me, and he was a kind of an outdoorsy kind of a person. We used to go for hunting, we used to go fishing when we were small. He used to take us and go. We used to wait for the holidays to go on our trips, and this continued. Yeah, this continued. And then my father and I used to go and discover new areas, new places. We used to go camping, we used to go hiking, and climbing different areas
Right.
which were undiscovered, as it were. And that's how the interest came in. And then, of course, I took it on further. Yeah, later on, I took it on further and I started exploring for myself. I started going out of the country. I have done lots of other things also before I attempted Everest.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Like what? Can you tell us?
Like, crossing the Thai-Burmese border, doing these treks, like a 3-day trek on that area, in Burma, going into doing treks into the different villages and stuff like that.
So there were these like groups that were organized in Sri Lanka, or did you go and join people overseas? And
I did it all myself. Maybe with one or two friends, we used to go, we used to organize it, get hold of company there, get hold of guide,
Right.
and then go and do these things.
So that I mean, to do something like that, you have to really be passionate about it. Because I mean, if it's some tour group that's organizing in Sri Lanka, people might just go for it. But to do everything on your own, then you have to have love for it, right?
Correct, yes. You really have to be involved in it.
Right.
And then this grew. This grew on me, and then I started going. Then I went to base camp in 2010.
Right.
There was a group of Sri Lankans who were planning to go to base camp, and I wanted to join them. So me and my good friend who is there with me today also, who helped me with everything,
Right.
Sajida,
Right.
we decided to go on to base camp. And I remember we did base camp, and base camp was one of the hardest things that I had ever done. Just getting to base camp, 2 weeks. It was grueling and it was really tough. And we stood at base camp there, and I remember the guide asked us whether we like to go a little bit further, because actually base camp starts from that point on.
For people who are wondering, base camp is a certain level at Everest, right?
It's a foot of Everest.
Yeah.
Right? It's right at the base of Everest.
Right.
And that's your base, and then from there you go to the next foot.
Lots of people will realize when you say the food, they'll say, it's just nothing. But it's quite an impressive achievement to do that, isn't it?
It's 17,500 feet.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge, and I remember getting there. It was so tough. We got there, and then they asked us whether we want to go a little further, and we said no. We're not taking one step further because we had it by then. So I remember looking at the path going up to Everest, and there were like tiny black dots in the ice.
Those are the people.
Those were people going up.
Right.
And I just stood there, and I thought, my gosh, these guys are crazy to even take this risk. And I thought they were mad to do this. Never did I think that in 6 years.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you.
Attempting.
Yeah, did you ever think at that time, okay, no, I'm going to scale this baby?
No, absolutely not, because, it was a daunting task.
Yeah.
I knew how challenging it was, and
And of course, you like it was so hard for you to get to be just base camp. You would have thought, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So how did the whole thing happen where you met up with Jayanti at the time, and because you had such a tough experience came to base camp, what
Yeah.
then later on, a few years later, what motivated you to think, okay, no, I can do it? And then,
So it's
and how did you meet up with Jayanti, and how did all that happen?
Yeah, so it's funny, you go through this hardship and you get to that point and then you think you'll never do this again. You come back, a month goes by and then you think, I need to challenge myself a bit more, and do something a little bit more, challenging. So I came back and the process started again. And I was thinking, what should I do next? And I thought I should do ice climb.
Right.
Yeah, ice mountain.
Right.
We went up to base camp. Now let's do an ice mountain. So I started planning this mountain called Island Peak,
Right.
which is also in the Himalayas, but it's an ice mountain.
Right.
And it's technical as well. So I was planning that, and then one of my clients said, there's this girl who loves climbing. I'm sure she will like to go with you, or you all will just hit it off. Can I introduce her to you? And she introduced Jayanti to me, and I had already planned to go on this with two others.
Right.
And then Jayanti asked me, can I join? And I said, sure. I said, I'd love to have you on the team.
Wow.
And that's how we met in 2012, climbing Island Peak for the first time.
I imagine that when you have a partner not a partner in crime, but so to speak, but when you have a partner with you doing all this, it obviously makes it a little bit easier as well, because you can kind of motivate each other.
Yes.
But you also have to have a fair bit of chemistry, isn't it? You have to have that trust.
Absolutely. So that's the first thing. And we really hit it off on that.
Right.
And it really worked out. And then I remember that was a bit of a dangerous climb, the one we did. We were completely misled in that, and we had a bit of a situation as well.
Okay.
I almost lost my life there.
Oh my God.
Yeah. We went into severe dehydration. Our bodies went into dehydration.
So didn't you all have one of the guides and all?
We did, but there was a slight miscommunication there, and we were misled. The final climb, which was supposed to be 7 hours to 23 hours.
Oh my gosh, that is not misled. That's like a different level of being misled. Huh?
Exactly. And we had no water. We ran out of water. Our bodies were in dehydration. We started eating ice.
Oh my God.
And it really got bad. We got caught in a snowstorm. And I remember I started bleeding internally, and I was throwing out blood. I was that bad. So I'd come to this last stage where I started hallucinating as well.
So what did you see? Can you remember what you really?
My past. I started having flashes of my past, of my small days, and incidents that happened. And it was crazy. It was kind of scary, and then you knew that this was not good.
Did you think, oh gosh, I'm seeing all these visions, my life is flashing, is this the end? Is this what's going to happen?
It was, because I sat down and at one point I said, I'm done. I'm not moving anymore.
Are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
So do you pray? Did you pray?
Or you have to pray. So that is the one thing that keeps me going.
Right.
It's my faith.
Right.
And I think everything that I do, even the challenges that I do, I attribute it to my faith and my belief.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think without that strength, I wouldn't be doing half of what I'm doing. Yeah.
Why I asked you that was, I mean, now when I hear you talking, there have been quite a few times when it could have been over for you, like your accident.
Absolutely.
This climbing thing. So there's obviously someone looking down favorably on you.
For sure.
Because you have a lot.
My journey is not over.
Exactly, 100%. I
will learn that tomorrow. Go.
So now, okay, so you went here, you all got, it was a bit misleading, and you all must have come, I mean.
So actually a rescue team came and got us.
Right.
Otherwise I wouldn't have made it back.
And obviously there must have been someone.
So there was somebody who actually got left behind at base camp from our team. All the four of us.
The lucky guy.
Yes, he was there, and when we didn't make it back on time, he alarmed everybody and said, we need to send a rescue.
This is like that movie Everest.
Exactly, it was exactly like that. And none of the others knew that I was bleeding internally. I hid it from them because I was guiding them, and I was the lead, and I didn't want them to slow down, But it came to a point where I wanted to leave, and it was only a miracle that brought me back.
But you know what, Johann? Those kind of moments at that time, they are like so hard to take, and they're like, you think, okay, but when you come back and after a few days, it's like almost, it makes a great story, right?
And it changes.
What an experience it is.
It just changes.
I can't imagine. I mean, I've been through a few things, but it's just great to like have those, and also it's a bit of an adrenaline rush, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. And that really changes your life. Right. I've had many of those challenges, many of those moments. And that was one of the times I almost lost my life, once before that at the accident. And then at that point, I think Jayanti asked me, she said, have you ever thought of climbing Everest? But you could see Everest across.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I said, no, never.
You guys also gluttonous for punishment, huh? Just almost died on a mountain and now they're there. Now, okay, let's go to the top. But no, so that's what it is, right?
You want then I thought, okay, let's go back and talk about it.
Right, right.
We came back, we started doing a lot of research, and that's how it all started.
Now,
Worked out.
can you tell me, we talk about your climb, but when one decides to climb Mount Everest, uh, what is the preparation that goes into something like that? Once you put your head into it and think, okay, we're going to do this, what's the preparation that has to go into that? And can you do that preparation in a country like Sri Lanka?
So that was the biggest challenge that we had because nobody had attempted it from here, and we didn't know how to get about it. So we had to get a lot of information. There was a lot of research that had to be done. We had to speak to people who could give us advice, and that was not from here. That was from outside. So all that took a long time. So it was a 5-year planning process. Yeah, and this thing had to start off from that point onwards.
Right, right.
And so even for somebody who's planning to do it, I think you need to start early. That's the most important thing. You can't just wake up one moment and think you're going to
And
just
tomorrow,
because, yeah, just because you're a fit person or you go to the gym and you are a well-built person, that doesn't mean anything. Yeah, climbing and altitude is something.
But the elements are so harsh, isn't it?
And also altitude, dealing with altitude has nothing to do with you being fit or you being well built.
Right.
If you look at me today and if you look at Jayanti,
Yes.
just two average people.
Oh, yeah,
right? Of course, we are very strong inside,
Right.
strong-minded as well, and I think that really helps. And that's what really makes the final cut.
Okay. So you did the preparation work now, and now you're heading over to do the climb.
Yes.
So you obviously went to base camp again and then started from there. Can you tell us a little bit about what that journey was like?
It was very. It was a very sentimental journey from the time we started it
Right.
and from till we left here.
Did you feel like you were coming back to a familiar place, or did
Yes, for me
That
it
was-
was.
okay.
The memories kept coming back, and there was a bit of nostalgia. That I was
that's
going
scary
back.
memories too? Yeah.
Yes, but also it was exciting, scary. Yeah, people keep asking me, "Were you frightened?" Of course, I was scared because we even wrote our will before we went.
Right,
Because we
right.
were smart. We were also told. We were made to understand, and that is something they don't hide. There was a chance that we were not coming back. And they keep telling you this. Yeah, and even the people who advised us kept telling us that there might be a chance that you might not come back. So we had to do everything to mitigate the risks that we can control. But certain risks you can't.
Of course.
Yeah, they're beyond our control. Like nature, we cannot control. So we had to keep an open mind and we had to do that. So it was a very sentimental journey because even here when we left, leaving a family behind and friends behind, my gosh, I remember.
And not knowing if you'll ever see them.
Yes, sir, it was like a funeral house the day we left. People were crying and, this whole thing. But it was exciting. It was exciting and challenging.
Right.
And then, of course, the journey began. And 2 weeks into base camp and then 6 weeks from there onwards. Yeah. So it was really a mental challenge more than a physical challenge.
Right. So now, when you all were at the final stage of it, I think I've heard you talk about it, where you were not able to go right to the peak, right? I think Jayanti made it, and then you could. What happened there?
So there are lots of stories that flow. I first want to put that right. People keep saying that Jayanti took my oxygen and she went up.
Oh my gosh!
There are all kinds of crazy things like that.
She sabotaged.
That is true.
Okay.
Right? Each one goes with their own Sherpa and they have a pace to go.
Yeah, of course.
And, so.
But even let's just play devil's advocate. I mean, let's hypothetically say she did take your oxygen, which she didn't. But why would she need it? You all have a allocated amount of oxygen,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So she would need to take your oxygen, right?
No, it's also because people don't know. But what happened to me was I ran out of oxygen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so people do run out of oxygen.
Right,
Well,
right,
yeah,
right.
you can, because you can tend to use a little more oxygen.
Also, then you're okay, fair.
But for me, it was completely different. At a point where the last point called the balcony, where they changed the oxygen tank,
Right.
they had accidentally put a wrong tank on.
Oh,
They put a half-use tank, and that was what happened. I didn't know that at that point, but later I found out. And just before 400 meters to the summit, just 400 meters, I could literally touch.
heartbreaking, no?
Yeah, and I was told to turn back, and of course my initial reaction was, forget it, I'm going. I don't care even if I die.
After enduring all of that, I mean, come on.
Yes, so I
So who stopped you, or you
my Sherpa.
came to your senses?
No, it was my Sherpa.
Right.
You don't come to your senses at that. Because
If you went, I'm sure, I don't know what would have happened, right? It would have been,
I
could have
would
been
have made it to the summit. I certainly would have made it to the summit, but I wouldn't have made it back.
yeah.
I didn't have enough to come back. You need oxygen to come down as well. And then he came and he caught hold of me and he pleaded with me and said, don't do it. He said, you know what will happen. I still refused. Then he got this guy on radio from me, the manager at base camp, and they spoke to me. Another Sherpa spoke to me on radio and said, don't do it, turn back, please turn back. Think of your family and everybody you left behind, and started putting guilt into me. Yeah. So I finally took some time.
Right.
And like I told you earlier, I'm somebody of faith.
Yeah.
I needed to really,
You need some clarity.
I needed some clarity. So I sat down and I meditated on it. I prayed about it. And of course, I got my answer. Yeah. And the answer was that life was the most important thing that we've been given, and
So-
protect it.
100%. And so when it happened, and Giant went all the way to the top, and then obviously you all came back to Sri Lanka. I know both of you were greeted very well, and I think you had a function at Golf Face Hotel where you all detailed the entire journey and so on and so forth. But knowing, well, I don't want to put Sri Lankans in a bad light, but knowing people there, did you get kind of like stepmotherly treatment because you were not the one who went right to the top and it was only her? And did people kind of look down a little bit, the little murmurings here and there? Did you have anything like that?
So I think there were a lot of expectations also when we left.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And when we came back, one of the first questions asked at the airport from all the press that was there was, will I go back?
Okay.
And my answer was never.
Never, okay.
Yeah, because I knew how hard it was and I knew how tough it was.
Right.
But we came back with a different sort of a perception.
Right.
Yeah. For Giant and me both, we both decided that this was a team effort.
Right.
And we came back victorious as a team.
Of course.
And
And you did go as a team.
Exactly. And we presented ourselves also as a team. And even at that function at Golf Face, it was team effort.
Yes,
And we used to go for
100%. Yes.
speaking engagement. But saying that, there are so many people, I just put it down as ignorance as well, because people don't know what it is.
Right.
When I was coming back, the boys at the gym were trying to organize a little welcome for me.
Sweet.
And one of the guys said, what's the big deal? I've climbed Adam's Peak 3 times.
Oh, wow. That is ignorance, is it?
So they don't know what it is, and people didn't know what it is.
Right.
So before, there was an instant that before we had been invited to speak at a huge event at a conference with 500 people.
Right.
And people were coming and taking pictures before they went.
Right.
As we walked in. And then there were instances that they actually moved me out of the picture.
Oh, gosh.
They wanted me out of the picture. Because, yeah.
And I mean, when okay, I was just for 400 meters,
Yes. I was
really on way. Yeah, you were on top.
But I remember seeing Jayanti's face, and she wanted to just leave.
Yeah, because she's a very sweet person.
Yeah.
I'm sure she felt uncomfortable.
So well, we both felt uncomfortable. She just wanted to leave as well.
So what was going through your head when they just ushered you aside?
Nothing. I just.
You must have felt mad. Johann, come on. You must have
I
felt
did,
bad.
but then I'm somebody who doesn't take that kind of thing to
Right.
because it's more than that.
Yeah, but actually, what can you say at that moment?
Nothing.
You can't, yeah. You
But the
can't.
crazy thing is, we finish speaking, we tell our whole story to the entire audience. And then you see these same people, when we are leaving, coming
They were
running back.
talking.
They were saying, can we take a picture with you? So that makes you understand that you don't know what it is like.
Yeah, I think it stems from like you say, a lot of ignorance as well. People don't
And you
know.
can't blame them.
And no matter how many conferences you have, no matter how many meetings and tell what it was, people will never know actually what it was. I mean, yeah, you have to live that experience, isn't it? And you have more than on one occasion. So you're like a veteran now, veteran daredevil. Okay, so this happened. So even with all this stuff happening and people giving a little bit of side eye like this, you also must. Did you ever doubt yourself, and did you kind of were you ever very harsh on yourself, thinking, "Oh my gosh, why?" And was there a period where you went through a little bit of depression because of that?
Uh, Actually, I wouldn't say that I was depressed completely because it was all very overwhelming.
Right.
Yeah, we were being invited here,
Yeah.
there, and everywhere.
And you all in all media 24/7.
Yeah, 24/7, and this was a trend that was built up at that time. But it got me thinking, though. It got me thinking as time went by. I was thinking, is this something that I can live with for the rest of my life? Will I live with regret? Yeah, 5 years down the line, will I think, I should have gone back? Yeah, and that's what happened. 6 months later, I decided I can't live with this. I need to go and finish what I started.
Incredible, Johann. I mean, having two fairly scary incidents at Everest. I mean, it's incredible that you. It's a testament to your discipline, and it's a testament to your willpower, isn't it? That fact that you said, "No, not going to let this mountain get me down.
Yeah, I think to a certain
I'm going to
extent,
overcome."
it is, yeah.
Huh?
I-
Because you feel I've obviously never done what you have done, but I watched a few documentaries and a lot of movies about Everest, and it almost becomes like a person, isn't it? Like you want to overcome, you want to beat that person. You don't want them to beat you, right?
It is.
It becomes
It
quite.
becomes a huge challenge that you
Yeah.
put a giant in front of you
Yes, yes, yes.
and you want to slay the giant.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's a battle.
Okay, so now part two, take two, Everest, right? So okay, you decided, okay, 6 months later, I'm going to go.
Start the
Obviously,
whole
Diane didn't have to go because she had done it. So how did that happen? And obviously, you probably had a lot of people helping you to do this. When you went and told them, okay, I want to do this again, what was their reaction?
Immediately, everybody thought that I was crazy and they said, no, you can't do this.
Right.
Right. And especially family.
Right.
They wanted to stop me. But the one
Your mom must have been very concerned.
mom, of course, didn't hear of it.
Yeah.
She just didn't hear of it. And my sister was calling my friends and, telling them to put some sense into me, don't let me go and all that.
Right.
And, but the one person who really stood by me right at that point was Jayanti,
Okay.
who said, okay, if you want to do this, I'm going to back you. I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there. Yeah. To do everything that I can do for you to go back. Yeah. Because she knew. She knew what it was like.
Of
And
course,
she knew what at least going through it. Yeah. And she knew, she said, if I was in your position, I would have done the same thing. So when my sister called and told her, stop him, she said, I can't do that. She said, I just can't do that. I'm sorry. She said, because if I was in his position, I would have done the same thing.
Right.
But then I think they began to understand that this is something that I have to do for myself. And they gave me the support. And one of the people who really, from the word go, was again my good friend Sajida.
Right.
As soon as I went and told her, I want to do this again,
She was very supportive.
eyebrows went up.
Okay.
She said, really? She said, have you thought about it?
She probably didn't want to lose her good friend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then she said, okay, I'm with you. I'll support you. I'll do everything possible to make it happen. Yeah, and she's there with me even today,
Right.
making things happen for me.
It's amazing. So now you got everything sorted out. You're leaving. You're at base camp again for the third time. So what's going on in your head mentally? What kind of person are you like?
Well, I was much stronger then,
Right.
Because I knew my shortcomings in the first time.
Right.
I knew where I had to be better and make myself stronger,
Yeah.
physically and mentally.
Right.
Prepared myself, and I was ready. I was ready for it.
And you had some backup oxygen ready, just in case.
Well, and I made sure.
Well, actually, when you don't even need to, because you said when that last point where they were supposed to, you had to get more oxygen or refill or whatever, they gave you the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
So that really wasn't your fault.
It wasn't my fault.
Right, right.
But these things happen
Right.
on the mountain because everyone is going through a process. They're all trying. It's about survival.
Yeah, it's you have to find, and when I assume when you do this kind of thing, you have to just fight your own demons as well, because there probably is a lot of your mind is it's constant battle with your mind, isn't it? Saying you can't do this. So did you find that you have?
My God, lots of times.
Yeah, I
Lots
know
of
that.
times.
Yeah,
Sat there and I'm wondering, what am I doing here?
yeah.
Lots of times we'll pass through that. But then you challenge that and you go on. I remember
Right.
the first time when we went and I saw this guy falling off and he went right past me.
Oh, it's the very first time with your auntie when you guys. Oh, right.
And I was shattered completely. I couldn't talk. I just got into the tent, zipped it up, and just broke down completely. And I said, I'm leaving. Yeah. But then you overcome.
Horrifying. So I assume that guy died.
Yeah,
Yeah, obviously.
even dead before he hit the ground.
Right.
So, so those are the things, those are the experiences that you have. But knowing all that, you make a choice.
Right.
Go back, and the choice is yours. Yeah, and you prepare yourself better. So I went back, and this time I enjoyed it a lot better. The climb.
Right. And you probably were a little bit more relaxed because I was more familiar than it ever
Oh
was.
yeah, with what I was doing, I remember the manager at base camp, the same manager who was there the time before. He said, "What have you done? You seem to be climbing, like a real professional. This is right." And I said, no, I'm just very confident, and I feel very confident, and I'm familiar.
Again, maybe someone was guiding you along the way as well. Yeah.
That was also, this was, for me, it was a prophecy that was given to me that I will do it the second time.
Right,
And I don't have any issue. And everything went off so well. I knew it was my day the second time.
Yeah.
It turned out to be the best day they had had in 14 or 15 years.
Right.
Yeah.
And Johan, what did you feel when you finally went up there? And I'm sure you did the whole flag thing. Did you do?
I did, but the first thing was when I got to the point where I had to turn back.
Oh.
I looked at the last pitch, and I thought, this is it. This time nothing's stopping me. I was feeling so good, right? I just went straight for it and got to the summit. And then when I got there, it took a little while though for me to realize that I'm standing on the top of the world. And I looked around, and one of the things that blew me away was
You must have been very emotional.
I was very emotional.
Then what did you say? One of the things you did?
No, one of the things that really blew me away was, I told you, it was the best day they had had in Australia in years. So there were no clouds. Normally, you're standing on Everest.
Right.
You're standing above the cloud line, like on a plane, but your feet are on the ground, right? And you see all these peaks sticking out. But that day, there were no clouds, not a single cloud, 360 degrees around. Right? One side was China, one side was Nepal. And I could actually see the curvature of the earth.
Wow.
Right? You could really see the curve. For the moment, I thought I was hallucinating. Then I remembered that this is the curvature of the earth that I'm seeing. And that blew me away completely. And at that point, I realized that I was the highest person on the earth at that point.
Wow.
And that was
Just the realization of that must have been great. And like when you see people who have also climbed and are at the top, there must have been a sense of, I don't know, like not camaraderie, but it must have been you guys must have been so happy. And I can't imagine the kind of joy that people feel when you do something like this. Must have been amazing, right?
It just goes through you. It just gives the chills to you. And you almost, I don't know, it's very difficult to put into words what the emotions that go through you. But then you enjoy that moment of glory and everything.
Of course.
And then you turn around, and a Sherpa tells you it's time to go. Right. And I remember I was there for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Which nobody else has. We normally have sometimes 3
minutes. Oh, really? Okay, that's it.
Right. Turn around. That day there was nobody on the mountain. 20 minutes, I just enjoyed it till he came and reminded me and said, don't forget your oxygen. There it goes.
Okay, so that's brilliant, man.
We started our journey back, and then I thought, oh no, we've got to go back down.
So personally, Johan, I just want to congratulate you for doing it, for not letting it get you down, and actually persevering and thinking, no, I'm not going to do all the other stuff that went on when you came back, and not letting anything of that get you down. Really, do it again, because not a lot of people would have done that, and that says a lot about you and your will, like I said, your willpower and your discipline, and it's great. So when you came down this time, the second time, how was it like?
Well, it was very much the same.
Same, yeah.
I got the welcome. A lot of my friends came to Nepal to meet.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
they flew in there, including Janti.
But this time for you, it must have felt, for the people, it must have been the same, but for you, it must have been personally different because it's like a personal achievement. I mean, I've done it, right?
It was completely different for me. But even for some of the people, I think they were genuinely thrilled that I went back and I achieved my goal and I was back. I remember about 6 of them were there in Nepal to welcome me and to be there for me. So it was great. It was a great time.
I also hear that you are quite busy with all these adventure sports and kayaking and hiking and trekking and all that. So, how often do you do that? And what's that like?
Well, I think it's something that you really get hooked on to.
It's
And
addictive.
it's addictive. So I try to do it as often as I can.
Right.
I also do it as a part of my training program, so that I keep myself with the outdoors. But I'm on a regular schedule
Right.
to keep myself fit, and I do lots of other sports activities as well. I take part in marathons. I take part in Ironmans.
Yes, I've seen.
Things like that. So
Okay.
that keeps me going.
So, any other big news in the future that we will see you? Huh?
Yes, I'm just
See some
actually
headlights.
Yeah, I'm preparing myself. I've taken on another huge challenge.
Right. What's that?
After Everest, I took on the challenge of doing the 7 summits. Yeah, and now I'm moving towards that. 7 summits is climbing the highest mountain in every continent.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just going into the final run.
Yeah, you've done 6, right?
Technically, I have climbed 6.
Climbed
I've
6, yeah.
summited 4.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I've summited 4. I've got 3 more to do because I had to repeat 2.
Right.
I had to turn back.
Right, because you had
Weather.
okay, so you did summit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was due to bad weather. And I'm going back. So I'm starting my journey on the 4th of January and going back to back with all 3.
You should write a book once you finish that. The memoirs.
I intend.
I remember the climb.
I think it's a little more than that. I have lots of life stories. I like this. I'll add those up.
I've always said in life, do something you're passionate about and make that your job, because then it doesn't seem like a job, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's so you've done that threefold. You've done it with your hair, you being a hairstylist, you love that. You're doing it with your climbing as well. It's something you love, and now with the restaurant, and then it doesn't seem forced, right? It doesn't seem like you have to wake up in the morning and, oh my God, I have to go do this.
No, absolutely. And
That's the worst feeling in the world. I felt it, by the way. It's not good.
yeah. No, I always keep saying if that's the day I'll give up.
Yeah.
Give up on something. If I had that feeling, and I haven't had that feeling with any one of the things that I do,
Right.
and I do it with a passion. I love what I do, and because that I think I'm living my life to the fullest.
Of course, 100%. And it makes it all worthwhile.
Absolutely.
Johann, thank you so much. It's been great chatting to you. And I think even though I have met you and I've spoken to you, I think today I found out so much more about you than I hadn't even before. And I just want to, first of all, congratulate you
Thank you.
and wish you all the very best on your future endeavors. And I hope you do all 7. And I'm sure you will. And it's only a matter of time. And hopefully when that happens, we can meet up again and have a chat about it. So thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anything you want to tell people what to expect from you? Is there anything you want to just tell?
No, nothing. Just that when I'm doing the 7 summits,
Right.
which will be in the first week of January, one of the things that will really help is if everybody is there with me, because I know I'm doing it for the country, I'm doing it for our nation as well.
Right.
So as a whole, if we can do it together, that will be a huge strength for me to know that everyone's behind me as well.
Of course.
So you can follow me on Instagram and on my Facebook page
Right.
under Johann Peries, and be there with me as I take the Sri Lankan flag to greater heights.
To the top of the world. Okay. All right. So there you go. You heard Johann just now. So please make sure you check out his Instagram and Facebook and support his cause, because it's a great thing for Sri Lanka. I don't think we've had a lot of people attempt what he is attempting, and in fact, I'm sure